Hi, my name is Francis, and today I want to talk about Node SerialPort's build system. So we have a fairly large um, test matrix, and currently it's all the checkboxes here. And this is Node 10 through Node 6 on Linux and Windows and Mac for both 32-bit and 64-bit Linux and Windows, and I want it to be more. We know we work on ARM. That's your Raspberry Pis. That's your chips. A few other other single board computers. We know we work on MIPSL. That's your Tessel 2s. That's pretty much all your router and cameras, Linux-based cameras and stuff. And I know we even work on PowerPC, even though I haven't had a PowerPC in a very long time, but it's definitely used in Linux servers out there. And I know we work, but might as well have a test suite on it. So this video was originally going to be, talking about how we might test all of these, but then something happened. And I noticed that we have a failing build. I also noticed with failing test coverage, and I wanted to talk about that too, but the builds are more important. So I went to Travis and I took a look at our branches and our master branch, and it's passing. Everything is golden. Everything is great. You so our latest build here, we had no trouble on all the platform. 20 of our 25 builds, or 15 of our 20 builds. Is that it? Um, and so it's Windows that is failed. And so we use Appveyor. Appveyor uses Windows 2008 Server, and it's able to test on 32-bit and 64-bit versions, and that's great. So what happened here? If we take a look at the history, and I'm not sure what it is, but both Appveyor and Travis hate loading logs occasionally. Um, so we had this commit to master, which is a great little commit, but did not fail anywhere else. Shouldn't have failed here. What this commit was a change to our linter rules. I actually just double checked when I first put ESLint into SerialPort a few months ago. We had some pretty high thresholds, and I was able to lower them. And these thresholds are for cyclic complexity, which is how many different branches there are in the whole project or in a function. And then how many max statements per function. You don't want them to get too long because most of the time that's a code smell. Something's going on there. So I'm really proud of this complexity. Been able to reduce that incredibly. And then the max statements we're still working on. There's one untouched area of reading ports on Linux and Macs that could be, well, more simple. So this, though, there was not a code change. This was a linter change, changes the rules, and the rules are the same across all the platforms. And so it would have failed on Linux if it was going to fail everywhere, and it didn't. And so what's wrong? So I'm going to take a look at 64-bit Node 4. This is sort of my benchmark. Like I know, sorry, that was 32-bit. I know if we work here, we're probably working everywhere. With Node 10 and Node 12, you end up with like dependencies that don't like the versions. With Node 6, there's new stuff that breaks. Node 5, nobody really uses it. So Node 4, it's our LTS. Let's see what happened. So I'm going to bring up our Appveyor build scripts, and we have a matrix here, so it's only one version of Windows, and we do the latest of 10, 12, 4, 5, and 6 for both x86 and x64, and it runs this, so it does each version twice, one for each platform. So we use PowerShell for the most part. PowerShell is a lot better than batch files. It is different, and every line will output to the next line, and there's some like all sorts of fun, weird stuff. This here, though, is literally just printing out environment information. We have this one workaround a bug, which doesn't really work. Actually, probably should take it out. But if we have an old version of NPM, we want to upgrade it. Most of the time, we want to work with the NPM that comes with Node. we have a problem with Node JIP and Node 4 where certificates aren't checking, the certificate doesn't quite work, and so that's sort of a known issue. I haven't checked on it in a while. That's actually probably a good idea. Okay, well, I actually closed this issue, but um, but it looks like it's an issue with Node pre-JIP and Node JIP interacting. I don't think we ever got to the bottom of it. I'm just going to keep it there for now. And why are we failing? So I caught it just when I was looking at the logs before, but it's right here. And what happens is we set the environment test port to be COM1. And our build scripts will take a look, and if there's a test port in envvar, I'll just look for COM1 here, we will go and open up that port and try to do things with it. In fact, we'll go to open it and close it, and that's it. There are a few integration tests. We have some like higher level integration tests that require a Arduino hooked up running a special program. But on Windows, you always have a COM1, and you can always open it even if there's nothing plugged in. So we were able to take advantage of that, but it looks like it's not there anymore. Now, I got an email from Appveyor saying they were changing data centers. They're moving over to Rackspace. And I bet you this changed things. So I bet you we no longer have any serial ports on our VMs. That kind of sucks. So we could take this out so we won't run it, or see if there's maybe another port. So let's try to do that. I'm going to comment this out. So if we run list ports, and it's not going to be installed globally. So if we do, and I think this will work in PowerShell, but if we do bin, and then we do serialport list.js, and let's just run this with Node. Because even though it is an executable, I don't think it's gonna, well, I know this will work. Let's check out on a branch. Are we on a branch? No. So get checkout -b, fix Appveyor. All right, and then let's commit it. All right, so and list all the ports on Appveyor. Now, I'm not actually going to keep this commit, but I want to see it run. And so I have a little shortcut that brings me here, and we should see both, but it looks like only Appveyor's responded. So it should be on all the platforms and all the devices. We should have the same. Oh, parallel builds. This is new. This is great. Makes me really happy. I have to go see what this new upgrade of theirs is about. I have to say, they've been the slowest CI I've ever used. So much so that I want to leave them. Travis is also slow. Not as slow. But if we could have some dedicated hardware, I'll even go back to Jenkins, just so we can have these builds go quickly, performantly, and have full control over them. And then maybe I could even plug in those Arduinos. Now, while this does this job, I'm going to actually show you what test port's all about. So if you run grunt, you're going to get all our normal tests. This mocks all the hardware. You'll notice that it does their pending tests, which say these cannot be tested further. Set the test port in vvar with available serial port for more testing. And so we actually there are 7 more tests we could be doing. In fact, there's even more than 7. So if I do serial port list on my machine, I see I have an Arduino plugged in. And so I could do test port equals that port, and then I could type grunt. So this takes a little longer because we actually do some work. We write a whole lot of data to the Arduino, make sure we get it back. But everything is as it should be. This is the 5K write. We had some issues with callbacks being called too many times. We were able to catch that. But 5K at 9600 actually takes a bit of time, 9600 baud is slow. So all this works. It'd be nice to do this in the CI. We got a little more exercise of our app. but it's only there if it's there. So let's see. It does the install. That looks like it worked. Runs the linter because we told it to. Let's see. So here's the build from source. Run lint. We run it, and then we do npm test, and then everything passes because there. But where's our list? Because we didn't set a test port. SerialPort list. Wow, we ran it, but there was no output at all, which it didn't fail because they would have noticed that, but nothing. So there are no serial ports at all on Windows. On this VM, that's different. Used to not be. Well, that sucks. So, we don't currently have a port to test on Windows. This means we'll have to, the manual testing we do for releases are going to have to be a little more vigorous. That makes me sad. But, so it goes. This fast-paced world we live in with lots of changes, we'll just have to roll with it. All right. So, we no longer have any test ports on Windows builds. All right. And so I'm using getx here, which lets me amend my previous commit. So I can force push over the old one. There's only one commit. It's right off of master. So that's going to go build. And that's going to take a while. But apparently less time than I used to, doing 2 at a time. I'm going to cancel this build because all the future ones aren't going to be able to check out the old commit, so they're going to fail. And if we go to history, we should see all of them, right? And it says now we see the new one is there. And again, we haven't changed any code. We haven't gone very far. So I'm going to, if one of these passes, and if Travis passes, which we didn't touch a thing for Travis, so never mind that. Then I'll be satisfied to merge to master. Yeah, Travis is already almost done building. Oh, we have a failure. What's our failure? Oh, we can't check it out. This failure here isn't a real failure. It's behind. This is we force pushed, so we no longer have. It's running both, so we can cancel the old one because they're all gonna fail because I can't check it out either. Build history, pull requests. Suppose we should make a pull request. All right, fixes Windows builds. This is unfortunate because we no longer have any integration, any light integration, tests on Windows. All right, so we'll create this pull. All the tests are going to run. Skipping ahead, I merged my branch and stopped the builds on those branches, and I'm letting master run and pass. We didn't change any code, so I feel comfortable doing this. Looks like we've got Travis doing 5 at a time, getting 2 at a time out of Appveyor, and then hopefully we'll have green on our master branch all the way through. So some time has passed, and we have green builds on both Appveyor and on Travis CI. And so our changes worked, and our badges are all green, except for the code coverage. The code coverage, we have much higher coverage than that, but that's a fix for another day. Thanks.